Therefore, I will direct it to Her Honor the Vice President. Madam Speaker, I would like to congratulate Honorable Chavinga. Congratulations, Honorable Chavinga. Madam Speaker, AI, artificial intelligence, is now I would like to find out from Our Honor the Vice President that the Minister of Technology did not tell us that AI now is able to speak even in local language. And now, even in eating, AI is able to tell that somebody is eating, chewing. Madam Speaker, is the Honorable Vice President in order to sit comfortably there without coming to this house and inform us that AI can speak in Zambian local language, especially Bemba? I seek your indulgence.
Clearly, that is just meant to distract the House from the core business of the House, where we are now talking about speculation. Honorable Member for Mukushi South, that...
And let me join my two colleagues who have debated before me, or three, with the Vice Chairperson in supporting this report. And I'll make sure that I don't sound like AI. Madam Speaker, this report, the Auditor General's report ending 31st December, is yet another report that is reflecting the indiscipline that has continued to exist in government, and it has continued to remain unpunished. Madam Speaker, when donors read this, they would even wonder why we look for money from them. Madam Speaker, we have companies that are big and spend big and produce annual reports, audited reports. We don't hear some of the things that we are reading in our reports. Why would the ministry pay for workers who are not, whose contracts have expired, and you continue paying salaries in a tune of over millions and millions of kwacha? Why would you buy a building which you are not using and you continue to insure for millions and millions of pounds? Why would you procure medicines that you know they are about to expire? I think that it's all about indiscipline. And because there is no one who has ever been disciplined over this Auditor General's report. And unfortunately, it becomes an indictment to government. The government that is presiding over the affairs of the country. This is the document that speaks to what is happening in every ministry, in every sector. And it is unfortunate if we continue on this trajectory. We need to be concerned. Controlling officers, Madam Speaker, have been invested into heavily by government. How often do they have workshops to remind them of how government procedure functions? And this is why the finance minister has been saying, it's not all problems that require money. Sometimes it's people to just sit down and follow procedure. Why would you procure something that is overinflated, which will eventually lead into government going into debt, into even that same company which has supplied going into debt, into also ZRI not collecting taxes on time because government as a client have not paid you? Why would you allow that? And so, as a country, we need to reach a stage where we stop talking and we start to mete out discipline. And we cannot always just be reacting to a report when it becomes ready. We passed here the Procurement Act to try and give efficiency. Because when the economy is growing, it's expanding, activities will be expanding, the population is expanding. So you expect that services have to be procured quickly. If you go into government ministries today, government spending agencies, for them to just complete a procurement, Madam Speaker, it takes even 6 months. That becomes the cause of why we have reports such as this. And for me, who is here to represent the people of Kantanshi and seeing how they are struggling not to have electricity on time, not to have water, not to have, medicines on time, not to have the services that a government can provide on time because there's wastage of resources, is very unfortunate. And we should blame all of us, because even us as parliamentarians, we ask questions. Even today, I was asking questions. Minister of Health has come, it wants more money. You want more money, but from the little that we have given you, you have failed to provide proper fiduciary duty and use of the money. But you want more. You, instead of using less for more in our current situation as a country, but you want more. So where are we going as a country if we cannot start interrogating these simple things, Madam Speaker? Because beyond pointing at each other from a political lens, we owe each other responsibility, because this is our country. It is about time this stopped. Why isn't it happening everywhere? It can only be in government. Why in government? Where people are trained, where people go for workshops, reminded about procedure. We need to find better ways. We have seen all of a sudden so many people have been captured for Zamsa and so on. That's not what we want to see. A reaction when people there don't have drugs, when they're expired, when equipment, we have been told there is no proper equipment. When equipment is being bought, it's exaggerated in terms of price, and yet each one of us here travels. The government, the people, allow us to get exposed. Why are we allowing that, Madam Speaker? That is the central point that we are supposed to come to together. Because if we are going to say, no, it is so and so, no, it is that other person, then we're not solving the problem. So for me, when I look at this report, I feel embarrassed as a professional. I feel sad for my people of Kantanshi, because even as we appropriate more funds, the end game is that they will not get the value of the resources that we're giving them, because somebody somewhere out there is not doing the right job. So we are supposed to focus on how can we make ourselves better and have a lean, not a 300-page document, even a 20-page document. Then we'll know that we're making progress. Even as I support this report, Honorable Member for Wanamkubwa, I am a very sad Member of Parliament, because these resources, we are supposed to use them properly. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Member for Kanyama.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for the opportunity given people of Kanyama to add a voice to this report. Madam Speaker, to start with, I want to thank the mover and the seconder of the report for a job well done, looking at what is coming out from the report, though it's huge, about 300 and something. So just going through here and there. Madam Speaker, allow me just to look at the governance aspect of these, institutions. Madam Speaker, you may wish to take note that all these institutions, government institutions that we have been created to deliver some services to the people. And how do they manage to do this? They are using a system of rules, structures, processes, practices put in place to direct and have control on these institutions. Madam Speaker, you realize that when we talk about structures that are put under governance structure. We're looking at internal controls. We're looking at the audit section, procurement section, and many other sections. Now, if these are working efficiently, Madam Speaker, we won't be hearing the same, like copy and paste. We have had a number of reports that have been coming. You realize that whatever is coming is one and the same thing. Misappropriation of funds, non-updating of registers, and many other. So now you start wondering, where are we going? The government is busy looking for funds so that a number of programs are achieved. But where are these, even if the governments, secure these funds, where these funds rest, where they come to rest for utilization, there are holes here and there. How do we achieve, Madam Speaker? We've been talking about, government funding this institution, government funding this. But little do we look at the safeguards, the safeness that needs to be put so that those small funds that are released are put to good use. And we realize that it will motivate the government to look for more funds. Madam Speaker, I don't think it's an easy task to be looking for money, borrowing money here and there, pleading with the people. No, can you give us this? Can you support this, supplementary budget and the like? When we somehow not looking at certain issues that needs to be looked at. Madam Speaker, I just want to emphasize on one point. And this point is, looking at this same issue that we're having, because we're having these issues, misappropriation, payrolls, people are being, paid, and they're not even there. The question is, who receives those funds? Meanwhile, we have got people that are supposed to, or some mechanism that is in each and every institution to ensure that processes are done in accordance to the code of conduct. And so, if they go to the bank, of course, if the bank does not know who to give, I think the bank will return those funds. Now, do we go and check on those funds if at all they are? So there are some of the issues, the questions that we need to ask ourselves. Madam Speaker, each time we are dealing with the people's property, people's funds, I think integrity should be number one. Let us fear that which does not belong to us. Madam Speaker, we are talking about blood money. That does not entail that you just need to get a knife and disturb someone, then from there you steal money. No. Madam Speaker, the moment you misappropriate or you misdirect funds that are meant for patients in the hospital, and eventually they die, the blood is on your head. So this is where we really need to be cautious with whatever we are doing. Madam Speaker, looking at these controls that are put in within these organizations, it's like they are failing. Maybe to supplement on whatever we are giving, I think I would love to look at one of the recommendations that your committee, Madam Speaker, has put. Why can't we find a way through which whatever recommendation that your committee, Madam Speaker, puts across, it is effectively tracked, followed to the latter, and that should be done by the government. So I think by so doing, we'll be supplementing on the safeguards that have been put in place so that revenues or services that needs to go to the people are actually enhanced. Otherwise, Madam Speaker, we'll be singing the same song, we'll be crying the same cries year in, year out. And if, for me, I don't think I'll be tolerant into following people into crying all the time. Madam Speaker, with those few remarks, I submit. Thank you.
Thank you. The Honourable Member for Chama South. Not in the House. The Honourable Member for Mpika.
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker, for this opportunity to add the voice of the people of Mpika to this very important discussion. Madam Speaker, this report, this one, let me even thank the chairperson of the Public Accounts Committee, Honorable Warren Chishamwambas and his team, for a job well done. Madam Speaker, this report is a reflection of the corruption taking place now. Madam Speaker, this report is a reflection of the failure of leadership. Madam Speaker, our people need basic services. In Mpika today, Madam Speaker, we have dilapidated township roads. And when we ask the government for the construction of those roads, we are told there is no money. You go to Michael Chirufyasata Hospital, Madam Speaker, the hospital is incomplete. But when you read this report, Madam Speaker, on page 21, the government did not collect 14 billion kwacha in mineral royalties. Madam Speaker, the importance of tax cannot be overemphasized. It's the money. It's government's primary revenue. Now here, the government did not collect 14 billion kwacha, Madam Speaker. If that is not as a result of corruption, then what is it? Madam Speaker, corruption is not just when one picks the actual amount of cash. Corruption is not just when one bribes someone. Even in decision making, there is corruption. Violation of trust is also corruption. Madam Speaker, when you read this report, procurement, Madam Speaker, is where there is grand corruption. Direct bidding, Madam Speaker, has made the country to lose colossal sums of money, Madam Speaker, under this government. Madam Speaker, the same supplier who was given the tender to supply 156 ambulances under the CDF had already an existing contract of 60 ambulances, which he did not deliver. But as a result of corruption, he was given another contract, Madam Speaker, to supply 156 ambulances, which he has not delivered up to today. If that is not corruption, Madam Speaker, then what is it? Madam Speaker, the Zambian people have been failed by this government. Their own government has failed them at a time when people are dying in hospitals, Madam Speaker, due to lack of drugs. ZAMSA, Madam Speaker, fraudulently.
Point of order.
Procured.
Point
I
of
mean,
order.
Honorable Minister, you come and respond. You have an opportunity. Madam Speaker.
Order. Order, Honorable Member from Mpika is entitled to a point of order. Let's just listen to the point of order and I'll make a ruling, whether he will need to respond or it's something else. The Honorable Minister of Health, what is your point of order?
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. I rarely stand to raise on the point of order. But before, the situation is worse, misleading the entire House and outsiders. Under Standing Order 71. Madam Speaker, is the member debating from Mpika in order to mislead the nation that there is a running contract of 60 ambulances given to one contractor who had already been given 156, when that's not a fact? It is best that when you are standing to debate, provide facts. It's in order to mislead the nation that there is an order of these 60 ambulances given to the same supplier of 156. I need your serious ruling. Thank you.
The Honorable Member from Mpika You mentioned what the Honorable Minister has just brought out to say that there were two contracts, one for 156 and then the other one for 60. Then the Honorable for 60 ambulances. We are hearing from the Honorable Minister himself that that one does not exist for 60 ambulances. I was going to allow the Honorable Minister of Health actually at a later time to respond, but he has come in telling us the actual situation. So the Honorable Member from Pika, please be factual with whatever you are saying on the floor of the House. Therefore, the issue that you mentioned about the 60 more ambulances is not true, and you are out of order. You may continue.
Madam Speaker, I appreciate your guidance and further appreciate that the proceedings of the Park Committee is live on television and Facebook, Madam Speaker. And these witnesses submitted what I'm saying. Madam Speaker, what I was saying is that this report is a reflection of the corruption taking place.
The Deputy Chief Whip, is it a point of order on the point of order that was raised?
Madam Speaker, the honourable member on the floor is not following your guidance. He is saying he watched on TV and that 60 ambulances. In short, he is resisting or is refusing. It's not true, Madam Speaker. The 60 ambulances, if he followed and if he read this report, the 60 ambulances were supposed to have been procured. But when CDF said they were going to produce 156 ambulances, that's when they dropped the 60. Read the report, then it will give you the actuals, what was prevailing that time. 60 ambulances were not meant to be procured.
Actually, that is not a point of order. It does not qualify as a point of order.
It's misleading.
We make progress.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. At a time, in your report, Madam Speaker, health centers were rationing medicines, Zamsa, overpriced drugs, to a tune of 586 million kwacha. Madam Speaker, that's a reflection of failure of leadership and seriousness with the governance. Madam Speaker, you cannot subject your own people to lack of medicines in hospitals, then an institution charged with a responsibility to procure medicines, overprice medicines for their advantage, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, this report is a report produced by those who love the Zambian people. Madam Speaker, when you read this same report on page 30, your report, Madam Speaker, indicates that actually the National Road Fund agents collected 1.3 billion kwacha in that particular year, and even overpassed the budget, the target rather. Madam Speaker, the National Road Fund agents will no longer collect more than the target is, because the road from Lusaka to Ndola has been given to a concessionaire who has already started collecting toll fees, even when the progress on the construction of the road is just at 36% completion. Madam Speaker, if that is not corruption, can any one of those who are educated define corruption for me, if that is not corruption? Madam Speaker, at a time your own people in Mpika are moving.
The Honourable Member, please be guided that this report goes only up to end of December 2023. And please don't ask your members to define what corruption is for you. That is your debate. You may continue.
Madam Speaker, at a time your own people in Mpika have literally no water. Literally no water, Madam Speaker. Colossal sums of money are being lost by those who are charged with a responsibility to do service delivery for our people. If that is not painful, then what will ever pain you? Madam Speaker, this report is very painful to me, very painful to the people I represent, and very painful to everyone who loves this country. Madam Speaker, political affiliations should not be more important than the nation that we have to save for future generations to come and find a better country. Madam Speaker, this report is very painful. And what is more painful, Madam Speaker, is that no one has been fired amongst those who are doing these things. Madam Speaker, who is shooting them? Who is shooting them? Who is shooting those who are not paying 14 billion kwacha, Madam Speaker? Who is supporting them, Madam Speaker? And the corrupt are even talking, defining certain words for me, the corrupt. Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, this report is very painful. Very, very painful, Madam Speaker. I love the people of Zambia, Madam Speaker. I cannot be happy when my own people from Nabwaria are moving on foot and are spending 3 days on foot for them to come to Mpika. There is literally no road, and 14 billion kwacha has been lost. Every day when I ask questions about development in my constituents, I'm told there is no fund, but 14 billion kwacha has been, amen. Madam Speaker, governance must be taken seriously. And Madam Speaker, those who are not taking governance seriously must be shown the door in 2026. The failures, Madam Speaker, must be shown the door. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honourable Member from Babala. There's an indication for a point of order. The Honourable Member for Zambezi East. What is your point of order?
Madam Speaker, I sincerely thank you for allowing me to raise this very important point of order to put the record straight. And I wish to apologize to the Honourable Member from Babala for disturbing his start of his debate. Madam Speaker, the Honourable Member who has just finished debating extensively misled himself, this House, and the entire country by the insinuations that he has just submitted on the floor of the House. Madam Speaker, our rules are very, very clear. Understanding Order number 71, such that whatever a member submits on the floor of this House for the consumption of the nation and this House must be truthful and verifiable. Is the Honourable Member in order to let things just the way he did it, in such that he ignored the fact that the Auditor General's mandate stems from Article 250, which is very, very clear. And the Auditor General has steps before a final report is brought to the House. The Auditor General is mandated, is given powers to report even to law enforcement agencies. And some items showing in that report have been reported and convictions have been made. And some of these issues happened in the previous regime. Madam Speaker, the way he was debating, it appears as though these were issues which are new. The Auditor General audits past periods. Some of the periods we are talking about here were actually during, most of it, in fact, during the PF's reign. Is he in order to submit in that trajectory? Because the Auditor General can audit these accounts this year, but for a period which is covering 2017 to maybe 2019, because of the backlog that they have. Should we allow him to continue just like that without stating this fact? Because if you want, we can actually go down to take an audit trail, going back the
Order.
periods that were covered. They include the PF. Majority of those crimes
Order,
come from the
Honorable
PF period.
Member.
Is he in order, Madam Speaker?
Order. The honorable member has adequately debated his point of order. Who was on the floor? The honorable member from Babala? The honorable member from Babala?
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Sorry.